The northern edge of the desert, where the scorched earth stretches to the horizon, is home to a forgotten city. Its walls have long crumbled, and its streets are overgrown with thorny bushes and covered in sand brought by the hot winds. The ancient buildings hide secrets within their depths, secrets the wind seems to whisper about cautiously. There are no birds, no traces of animals, and the night sky is illuminated only by the cold light of distant stars. Long ago, this city was great and prosperous. Its inhabitants were scholars, alchemists, people with knowledge that could have changed the world. But one day, something went wrong. The city suddenly became deserted, leaving behind only myths and legends that eventually turned into frightening tales. I, Lev, have always been someone driven to uncover the mysteries of the past. As an archaeologist, I have dedicated my life to searching for ancient artifacts and lost civilizations. And one day, at a rusty market in an old European town, I stumbled upon a parchment that caught my attention. It depicted a city surrounded by a desert and briefly mentioned a sanctuary of shadows hidden within its depths. This parchment, despite its ancient appearance, seemed to hold a strange allure. I felt compelled to find this city, to discover what lay hidden within its walls. My colleagues tried to dissuade me, warning of difficulties and dangers, but I was adamant. Leaving everything behind, I set out on my journey. The long trek led me into the desert, a place rarely visited by humans. Day after day, I pressed on, scorched by the sun and battered by sandstorms. But every time I thought of turning back, something inside me wouldn't let me stop. Finally, I saw the outlines of forgotten walls before me. The city truly existed. The entrance gates were half ruined, and beyond them were narrow streets leading into the heart of the dead city. Inside, it was unusually quiet, and every movement of mine echoed, as if the city came alive with my presence. I felt a chill on my skin, as though someone unseen was watching me. I began exploring the streets and houses, recording my findings, but everything I discovered only heightened my anxiety. There were no remains of the inhabitants, no signs of their hasty departure. The city seemed to have simply frozen in time. Strange symbols were everywhere, carved into the walls, and decayed books with texts I couldn't read. These symbols were unlike anything known to me. They evoked an unclear fear in my soul and made my heart race faster. After several days, I found the city's central square. In its center stood a massive stone monument, covered in those same mysterious symbols. Before it was an archway leading into the underground. This was the very sanctuary of shadows mentioned in the parchment. I stood before it, feeling my heart skip a beat. Everything within me screamed not to go further, but curiosity and the thirst for knowledge prevailed. The sanctuary turned out to be an ancient temple, descending deep into the earth. The corridors were narrow and dark, the walls damp, and the air heavy and stale. The deeper I went, the stronger the feeling that someone was watching me grew. The sounds of my breathing and footsteps echoed, and I couldn't shake the sense that I wasn't alone. After traversing many corridors and halls, I found myself in a large room, illuminated by a soft yet strangely cold light from an unknown source. The room was surrounded by statues depicting strange creatures with human and animal features. In the center stood an altar, and on it, a massive black stone skull covered in ancient symbols. As I approached the altar, I felt time around me slow down. The world became surreal, blurred. Suddenly, I heard a whisper. It wasn't just a sound, it was something deeper, as if time and space itself were speaking to me. The whisper grew louder and louder until it turned into a deafening roar that nearly made me lose consciousness. Suddenly, I saw a figure emerging from the shadows before me. It was tall, with long, elongated limbs and a faceless visage. The figure approached me, and I couldn't move, paralyzed by terror. This was something otherworldly, ancient, and malevolent, beyond human understanding. The figure stopped a step away from me and, without a sound, reached out its hand to my face. I felt life leaving me, my consciousness sinking into darkness. The last thing I saw were eyes, two bright fires burning in the void, staring directly into my soul. When I awoke, the hall was empty. There was no trace of the figure, but I felt that something had changed within me. I was no longer the same. The sense of fear hadn't disappeared, but it had now become a part of me. I returned to the city, but it no longer seemed so empty and abandoned. In every corner, behind every window, I sensed the presence of shadows. I hurried to leave, feeling that this city wanted to consume me. But the faster I walked, the more it seemed to come alive, trying to keep me there. When I finally left its walls, the silence felt unbearable. The desert greeted me with its boundless expanse, and I ran without looking back, away from this place, hoping I could escape the shadows that had become part of my consciousness. Much time has passed since then. I returned to normal life, but nightmares still haunt me at night. I see that city, hear that whisper, and feel the gaze of those eyes. I know that the shadows of eternity will never leave me, and one day I will find myself before those ancient gates again, and this time I may not be able to leave.